This is Shaun Sport in podcast form.
Oh, what a great day to have Matthew Pavlich in here. Of course, you can see him on Nine
Shaun.
News and Fox Footy. And you would have seen him yesterday if you're watching the Fox Footy coverage, preparing for the game.
Yeah.
Speaking at half-time when Freo had the opportunity to make the finals, Pav. It was all there in front of them.
It was. Well, let me take you back to the moment of waking up yesterday. You know, the day started so well. There was the sun shining. It was a perfect day.
Looked in the mirror and went, that's a good head of hair.
That's a good head of hair. It's going a bit grey, but, you know, that's okay. We went down to Auskick, so the final Auskick yesterday, which was a parents versus kids match. So we're running around.
Kill him?
Got a couple. But it was, you know, that sense of hanging out with your kids and their friends, and had a beautiful morning there and a bit of a sausage sizzle and all that afterwards. And then went to the footy yesterday, and then we were glued, obviously, to that St Kilda and Carlton game, because it meant that our match was live, and clearly the Fremantle connection, but it meant that there's so many people would be tuning in.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Big
to our
it was
match.
for the greater good.
It was for the greater good. I mean, in the end, Carlton obviously lose that match, and we had all the Blues fans in Australia going for Port Adelaide last night, plus all the Fremantle fans so invested into that match. But and then it finished with a bottle of wine on the couch for me.
It's an emotional ride.
It was a disappointing finish to it all, but a great match, and Port deserved to win in the end. But it was devastating, Shawnee, for our boys.
Yeah,
Did you break out? Is it a $30 bottle of wine or a nice one?
No, it was about $30. Yeah, it wasn't anything too expensive. You were trying to say before it was more like $300.
I still believe it.
No.
I believe that you have a like $300, $60 bottle of wine, and you won't even flinch when you buy it. That's what
it was just, you know, I'm happy to admit it was all about self-medication last night.
It's not about the taste.
Well, Shaun couldn't sleep last night because he was too angry. How did you go?
It upset me.
He was passed out.
Well, Pav,
It wasn't just one bottle. Negroni, beer.
4 weeks ago, Pav, we were having conversations about a grand final appearance. 4 weeks later, they're out and finished 10th in the competition.
Yeah, I mean, so let's actually break it down and think about it dispassionately for a moment, because it's hard to...
Oh, Shaun can't do anything dispassionately, Nav. Come on.
Oh, well, it's good to have emotion, but sometimes it's good to take emotion out of these things. So you're right. Yeah, 12, what were they? 12-6 and 12-1 is in the draw. 12-1 and 6 4 weeks ago. They lose Sean Darcy, they lose Josh Tracy, they lose Alex Pearce. That's a huge loss. And the Essendon game's the one that will come back and haunt them up well into that game, and then sort of lose Essendon kick away in the depths of that last game, and win that one by a point, and then narrowly lose to Geelong, the Giants, and Port. So look, it's just a point of where they are. That on average, they were the fifth youngest team across the competition this year. Yesterday, the 17th most experienced team out there running around in the competition this week. And then last week, the youngest team to play. So it'll sit in their guts all pre-season.
Yeah.
It'll just sit with them that they blew a golden opportunity, not only to play finals, but this was the year, or this is the year, that if you're looking at it from, you know, the Bulldogs and Hawthorn play, which we'll talk about the finals in a minute, the week one of the finals, but they're every chance because they're playing well at the right time of the year. Port Adelaide, who have been in the top four of the last 5 years, are playing the football that could just challenge and get there. So this year, it is as even and as open, and Fremantle will know today when they wake up, probably in their gloom, in their despair, that this was a year that, no matter how young, but they could have gone deep into the finals if they were there.
Cup half full, though. If you did have a busy time of year that year, around this time, and you're a Freo fan, you go, oh, well, at least that's freed up now. I don't have to worry about what I'm doing. I'm trying to,
go to Bali, go Exmouth.
That's right. Silver linings.
Yeah.
Will there be some announcements shortly? Will anybody be retiring or anything? Or are we expecting?
No.
I mean, Nat Fyfe is probably the one that is got the biggest question
mark.
And
Michael Walters, I think, they signed both of those players on for 2 more.
Fyfe, can he kick? Is he just handballing now?
He only handballs.
The Grace of Frankie of AFL.
Does he know that it's called football?
Yeah, no, but
he's crisis of confidence, Nat.
Yeah,
and it's hard to believe a guy who's won 2 Brownlow medals, but possibly could have won a third. To be honest, he should have won that other one.
No, but you're right. So I think it sounds like they're going to get a couple of players through the trade period, through free agency. And what they really need is to get a big pre-season again. I know it sounds obvious and it's cliche, but those younger players who've come on the last couple of years, they do really need to get another big pre-season in. And I think if you add someone like a Shea Bolton or Baker or whoever they are targeting from other clubs to that midfield mix of Brayshaw, Young and Sarong, just to get a bit more X factor in there, I think it makes a big difference. And the real key is Shaun, you guys have regularly making sure his knee and his fitness is ready, because he only played a handful of games this year, and him not in that side, and particularly when you lose Tracy as well, it puts a huge amount of pressure on Jai Amos and also Luke Jackson. So
he needs to go to that place in Qatar that
100%.
Yeah, that Gov went to. Because Gov and Yowie both went there, and they've both had cracking seasons.
We should go there.
I'm up for it. Let's do it.
Let's see what happens to a breakfast show getting that treatment.
Yes.
You wouldn't last 2 seconds.
No, I was going to say, they'd be doing a test on him, be like, no, I'm spent.
It's only a rouge to get to Dubai.
Let's do it. Hey, Pav, there is a couple of announcements made, the finals campaign and what days they're playing, so you might be able to run us through that.
Hot off the press, Shawnee. Yeah, that's right. So next Thursday night, the second qualifying final, Port Adelaide take on Geelong at Adelaide Oval. That'll be a huge match over there. It's hard to kind of pick what'll happen.
Geelong play well there.
They do. And then on Friday, it will be the elimination final. This is going to be, I think, almost the game of the finals to begin with. The Bulldogs take on Hawthorn at the MCG. Two informed teams, and two teams
that nobody would have picked would be in this situation.
No, that's right. But the Bulldogs and the Hawks, I think, are the two informed teams leading into this final series, along with Port Adelaide. But
a bit of X factor
just
there.
Looking at the graphics there, Shaun, they were saying you're missing Fremantle.
Stay out of it. Then Saturday, the first qualifying final, the Swans take on the Giants. That will be, Sydney
the Sydney Derby.
Sydney Derby had good. The Battle of the Bridge in a qualifying final. That'll be huge up there at the SCG. And then to round out the first week of the finals, the other elimination final, the Lions take on Carlton. Now, that would have been Fremantle. And I think that's the interesting one. I think you're kind of going up there against Brisbane at home. That's going to be a hard match for the Blues. They might get a few key players back, Curnow, Mackay, and a few others, but it's a rematch of last year's preliminary final.
Interesting that 3 out of those 4 games, interstate teams.
Well, I know,
non-Victorian teams.
Having spoken to a few people at the AFL last week, which is a bit of a segue into the All-Australian team being announced, Shawnee, soon. They were a bit scared it was all going to be interstate at one stage there.
Yeah. Talk about the selection panel that you're on.
Well, yeah.
He's on panels. He's on panels.
Yeah. How come they don't ask you, Shaun?
He's so important. He's on panels.
Because I wasn't good enough. That's probably the number one thing.
It's Matthew Panelich.
The All-Australian will be announced on Wednesday, Pav?
Thursday night is the function.
Is this hot from the panel?
We have a meeting today to decide the final squad. So the squad will be announced later this afternoon. I can say that there's a number of Fremantle and West Coast players in contention.
Yep.
You might want to think about who they might be, and I'll play a
Jeremy McGovern.
He will be in contention. Yeah, happy to say that.
Mullet haircut. What's his name from the Eagles?
Mullet from the Eagles.
He's sticky hands. They've been calling him this year.
TB. Tommy.
No, not Tommy Barras. The other one.
He plays forward, maybe? Does that help?
No,
Waterman. Yeah.
He might be in contention,
Oh, Nathan.
Well, I didn't remember his name.
So at one stage, Alex Pearce looked like he was a lock-in for the full-back position, so he's missed so many games. I'd imagine he'd be having
Is there a minimum number of games they have to play?
16. Yeah. Okay, so then there was Clarkey coming off the half-back line. Then you've got Caleb, Andy and Younging, who all play in the midfield. All of them can't get a Guernsey.
That's right.
And here's the other thing a lot of people have been talking about. The All-Australian team over many years has been picked with a lot of midfielders, because they're in the premier position. Are they going to pick a team that could play in those positions? So the best half forward, the best forward pocket, for example, Pat?
Yeah, so it's a really good question, and what we try to do is balance a team that actually looks like a team that would run out there and play a game. So the squad of 44 will be announced, and then the final 22 will be picked and chosen on Thursday night or for Thursday night. But yeah, the idea is that it does look like a team that would run out there every week. Now, Will it be perfect? No, because there are obviously a lot of midfielders that feature well, but there'll be...
So the interchange bench would...
it's more about sort of the wings and your half forwards and half backs where you can... But the idea is it looks like a team that normally runs out there on the weekend with the players at their clubs playing in those positions.
Now, the meeting, is it like we see on those X Factor, for example, where everybody sits there with the photos and moves them around? Or is it just a boring teams meeting where you're kind of just going, oh, what about who do you reckon's the best centre half forward? Is that how it goes?
No, it's in person. Generally, everyone gets to Melbourne for those. Yeah. There's 2 big meetings, one at the halfway point, one a couple of weeks ago.
That and then could be done by Zoom, really.
Yeah, and then the last one is on travel. No, I think you're wrong.
So today's meeting is Zoom, or right.
Who's your best friend on the panel? If there's a fire happening in the panel room, you can only save one of them. Who is it?
Eddie Betts, probably.
Oh yeah.
Oh, who are you going to let perish?
Kane Corns.
That was really easy.
That's not a tough question.
I'm just going to use him as kindling.
Sorry, Kane.
I know Kane really well, actually, but he can burn.
Isn't his brother a fireman?
That's right.
Yeah, so he'll be right.
No, actually, Kane. This is so. My dad worked at the South Australian Metro Fire Service for a very long time, and when Kane's a year below me at school. We went to school together and actually know each other.
Same school?
Yeah,
right.
Did you play footy together in the school team then?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And cricket and the whole lot. And actually, we became very. And I said Kane very flippantly, but I kind of meant it as well.
Did he used to follow you around at school and write bad things about you?
Yes.
On the toilet wall, though. It's his first newspaper.
No. Where was I going with this story? And then he hit Dad up about trying to get into the Fireys because he was the one that I think he was a bit unsure about his transition out of the game, right. and he went through the trial and went through the process, and I think after a short time he just didn't like the Fireys, so he went away and started writing bad things about people.
People don't realise it's really hot.
It's been very successful.
If you don't know the hot weather, it's not for you.
It's quite hard work.
Pat, look forward to the All-Australian announcement on Thursday night. Good on you. Thanks for coming in.
Good on you guys. Thank you.
We'll call you about and slag you off for your choices.
Thanks. I'm sure I will.
You can just blame Kane Corns. It's fine.
So during our show, Harry sits there and fumes, going, "Oh, this should be my show. If I had an opportunity to say something or ask a question, I'd ask that." Anyway, that just happened.
What happened?
Before Matthew Pavlich came out, you had a question that you thought we should have asked.
Yeah, I think so, for sure. I was going to save it for my podcast later, but actually, maybe I'll grab this audio, and put it on the podcast later.
You would never put us on your podcast.
Make it a vodcast at least, or video, whatever you call him, because that Mo at the moment is doing plenty.
Yeah.
So.
He's nearly reached full Magnum PI, don't you think? He's a Higgins away.
No. I appreciate that. Yeah. Hey, with All-Australian captain selection.
Yes.
Okay, so was that based on age, seniority in the All-Australian side previously, or pure skill?
A bit of everything. So last year, Toby Green was announced as the All-Australian captain. One, because he'd had an outstanding specific... Like last year, he was the player, really, of the year.
He was the it girl.
Yeah.
He was the it girl, that's right. And plus, he had led the Giants for the first time. His captaincy, obviously deep into September as well. So that was sort of the rationale around there. This year, if you look at some of the best players of the year, if you think about who they might be, there's a couple of captains in those positions that I think will be around the mark, but it's a bit of a combination of everything you're saying. I think it was
Tom Hawkins a captain recently?
He might have been vice captain.
Okay.
I think 3 years ago or 4 years ago when I wasn't on the panel at this point, but I think Buddy Franklin was announced All-Australian captain because there wasn't a team captain in that year.
But he wasn't even captain of his own team.
No, but I think it was recognition of, it was his 9th or 10th All-Australian Guernsey, and he had obviously so it was more about his, I guess, celebrating his longevity in the game.
That's how we get nominated for awards. We just do it for ages, and it feels awkward, and they feel like they should give us a showing.
That is so true.
And then it's just like a pat on the head.
And we didn't mention it too, but Jesse Hogan picked up the Coleman medal, which is extraordinary.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it. He led the league in contested marks by about, how much was it, 20 or something? It was just ridiculous.
I think
dominated.
It's fantastic that he actually has turned his life around and also turned his form around. So well done to Jesse. But great question, and you'll find out Thursday night.
Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Great moment.
Shaun Sport in podcast form.
First of all, I want to shout out to all those teams who played their first final on the weekend in the junior football arena. There was knockout finals that took place and qualifying finals. So all the parents are out at different ovals all around WA fighting that in the bad weather. Nate.
So one of the AFL games, which one got stopped?
That was Collingwood.
Yeah, it was Collingwood.
Oh, yeah.
What I was talking about, that was on the Friday night game.
Yeah.
All it takes is one game being stopped for dangerous weather, and then it pushes the whole day back.
Well, that was the last game of only one game of the night, but yeah.
I mean like in just grassroots football. Yeah. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
Well, the week before, that's what we had with Oliver's game here at Leederville Oval, and then the league game itself, with the weather, they carved it down to 12.5 minutes, the quarters. It was
amazing,
insane,
isn't it?
The netball was the last round of netball, junior netball, so all the parents who are getting a reprieve when their teams don't play finals.
But
I wish I was in that camp.
No, you're back this weekend.
Yeah, we're back this weekend for a final. So the netball team season continues. So, and the same as Matthews and Fremantle, exactly the same. Where there's bugger all cover. So you just hope that the weather's going to be okay.
I know you want your child to win and want them to go to the grand final, but there's a big part of you that's like, oh God, can they just wrap this season? You know what I mean?
100%. Gets to this time, you're really limping, Nathan.
I'm dying for netball to finish because there's a cafe near the netball courts that I like to go to, but I won't go on a Saturday during netball season because you can't get a park there and it's too crowded.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting for that season to finish so I can get back there.
I just want to give a lovely punch in the guts to the East Fremantle Council again because the finals of the Waffle start this weekend.
Yes.
And the East Fremantle Footy Club, the men's team, they have to play their first final. They don't have a home base.
Yep.
So they're playing Claremont. It should be an East Fremantle home game at Shark Park. Instead, they're actually playing at Claremont because there's no other ovals available. They have to play on their opponent's home ground.
Yeah,
so that gives them the advantage.
Which they earned.
Crazy, mate.
There was footy played there this weekend, though?
Yes, there was. There was 3 Colts games played in a row. They wanted to see if it was
if the
workable.
ground was up to it.
Yeah, I walked in for a second just to check it out for a minute.
But then you were too angry and had to leave.
Yeah, I did. It was something like that too.
You know what? One day we're going to want to do a show in East Fremantle and we're going to need the council's permission.
No, there's every chance.
Not going to be.
So I'm right on the border. I'm in Bigton.
Yeah, he's not even.
And that's the city of Melville, right? And it's like literally one street. And I was in East Fremantle before, but if I ever have to move back there, I just hope the mayor gets the arse before then because I'm in all sorts.
I'm literally on the border of Maylands and Inglewood as well. So if I'm displeased with my council, I take one step to the left.
And let's go to the AFL straight away because I just wanted to mention those things straight away. Of course, on Saturday, the West Coast Eagles, I was telling everyone, $1.90 was just the easiest money in the business. 56.5 points it was the line, which means that you would hope if you're a West Coast supporter, you can back them to lose under 56.5 points and you get $1.90, nearly double your money. Or the reality was they were easily going to lose by 70 to 80 points at a minimum, which they lost by 93. And Geelong kicked over 100 points in the first half. Jeremy Cameron kicked 7 goals before half-time.
The first half was dire.
You know, it gets boring when you're in those...
Oh, obviously.
If you're winning by that much, it's like... This is...
it was always going to happen. Like we knew that this was going to be the outcome.
So if you're there, like, braving the weather and stuff like that, you know, at these games...
It's very windy at Geelong.
Yeah.
You'll be like, oh, should we just go? But then there's always part of you that thinks, what if they turn it around?
They definitely had a better second half.
So I would have just left.
Yeah,
I would have left just to go, we know what the result is, Nathan. Just go to the pub and have a beer.
But even some games, like that wasn't a known result, though, was it? Was it? Pretty much known result?
Before it started, we knew it was going to be.
Then why do you even go?
Yeah. It's the last game this season.
I think a lot of people,
Geelong
if it's your
team,
you want to see blood in the water. You want to see blood in the water as well.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay. Yeah.
And, of course, yesterday was the big game because Fremantle had it all before them.
It
the
was
St Kilda Footy Club.
A live match.
Yep. They scored an amazing goal with seconds to go against Carlton to put them out of finals contention if the Dockers were able to win their game against Port Adelaide, who sits second on the ladder.
So talk to us about the moment. So you were at the ground when that happened, right? Because I saw a little snippet of it on the coverage, but people lost their minds, right, when St Kilda won that game.
Yeah, because a young guy, Mateus Philippou, had a shot with a minute 20 to go for St Kilda to seemed like it was going to win the game, and he missed it. And then you just thought,
so the crowded Optus Stadium. What did they do?
So everyone's like, "Oh, can you believe it? The Dockers are going to not get the opportunity to play for finals."
Yeah.
And then seconds later, the ball came towards the St Kilda's 50-metre line, and they were just trying, and there was a bounty throw in, and it just kept going and going. All of a sudden, the ball came out to
it was only
it was
20
Higgins.
seconds to go or something.
Snapped this goal, and whilst you're watching it, it seemed like, did he kick it long enough? Is it too high? Is it on target? And all of the above, and it went through, and the umpire's given it the goal salute.
The 2 fingers, yes.
And the joint erupted. I was nearly swore there.
Good on you, Higgins. Hey? If he worked well for Magnum PI, who works well for us.
It was amazing, but then obviously the Dockers, they need to come out and get it done for their spot in the final. Once again, they just missed opportunity after opportunity early in the game, kicked so many bloody points, and it was just been the way of the last month, actually.
Was the scoreline in the end 9-13 to 13-9?
Yes.
So exactly.
Oh no, they keep more 11. That was just last because Willie
Right.
Rowley got 2 late goals.
Yeah,
but that's what it was at the time.
Point,
yeah. Here's Justin Longmuir just pointing out the obvious from the season.
They can't fault their effort. They've played 3 top 4 sides the last 3 weeks, and a bit of me thinks we should have won all of them, but we didn't, and because we couldn't execute well enough. We didn't stand up in big moments, and we didn't execute those moments well enough. And 90% of our game is in really good order, but the 10%, whether it's discipline, whether it's game scenarios and understanding what the game needs in that moment, we didn't get right again in those games.
I know what he means. I feel like I should have won all the lotto. And I don't.
Great point. That's because you didn't execute properly.
I don't. Yeah, I didn't pick the right numbers.
It's probably like getting the 6 numbers and just needing the Powerball constantly.
It's pretty simple
close.
when you talk about it.
Yeah, so bloody close. But the one thing is, I think they kind of played themselves into bad form. Like they'll look back at it and go, "Oh, we had 8 games where we lost by under 2 goals, and we lost the last 4 goals."
And
games.
I mean, any team can say injuries have impacted them, but I think that as soon as Josh Tracy went down, they really.
Well, Alex Pearce was a massive loss as well, and then obviously Shaun, our guy's a big loss as well. So they had 3
so it's a big out.
There's big, and would have won those games if any of those guys playing? Yes, they would have, but. Take that aside, they should have, could have, would have done it anyway.
Yeah, and their opposition teams may well have had players out too.
Yeah.
So,
Ken Hinkley was the guy, and round 10, he was crying at a press conference because everyone was coming for him.
Their own fans were booing him.
So actually crying?
Yeah.
Is this him crying?
No, this is him. So round 10, they were coming for him. Nathan, round 24, they finished 2nd on the ladder. Koshy was trying to sack him for the last couple of years, but he keeps producing the goods. This is him talking just after the game.
We set ourselves to play 24 rounds, and I said a long time ago, wait till the end of 24 rounds, I'll tell you where we are. We've earned our right to 2nd on the ladder clearly, and we look forward to what's next.
That's amazing.
Round 10, they came for him, wanted him to get the axe. Koshy was pushing him out the door. He was upset. He was visually crying at the game.
There were people talking about him as a contender for the West Coast job because Port Adelaide won't want him anymore. And it's like, suck it, Koshy.
2nd on the
He
ladder.
must be so stoked.
I know.
He must have driven home with the
fingers.
biggest smile on his face, going, F them.
Exactly.
Eat it. Yeah, that's for Harry and Talisa, who's a Port Adelaide supporter.
We've got Freo.
I've never heard this song. From Port. Oh, this is a Powers song.
Yeah.
Oh, let me have a listen.
It's a true Port Adelaide tradition.
It's more than a power and Port. It's more than a sport.
So Port Adelaide have won more if you're looking at state leagues and if you compare the VFL, AF and all that around Australia. So Port Adelaide have won a couple more premierships than East Fremantle. They're the 2 best in Australia.
This is like the Black Eyed Peas of the football anthem world. I feel like it's very, very modern.
Move on.
Yeah.
No,
marching band. Do they do it with a marching band?
No, I don't think so. But GWS is the song. Yeah. Anyway, finals footy in 2 weekends' time. Let's go.
Shaun Sport is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcast.com.au.